Yep.
Hello, Warward users. I'm Govinda Dasu, and I'm going to be interviewing Warren Ersley on Resolve. The European Union is bound to become one country. So, A or nay, Warren?
Nay, most assuredly nay. Personally, I think bound to become one country, more like bound to become, I don't know how many countries make up the European Union, but that many countries, if not more.
So you think it's dividing rather than coming together?
I mean, there are certain aspects of the European Union that are most certainly bringing it together. For instance, the currency, maybe some political policy that's spread throughout. But I think if you look at the current state of affairs, there's no way that they'll unite into one country. And that's just given the current state of affairs.
But what about the currency? What about the currency, the united currency?
So the currency, I think, definitely brings their economies together, but as we've seen in the European Union, you have a number of greatly different economies. You have Portugal, which is one step above a third world country's economy.
Yeah.
And then you have Germany, which is like an exporting, importing, like it's a really advanced economy. Just because they're linked by the same currency, it doesn't mean that economically.
Also the same visas. You only need a one visa to get into the entire European Union, I'm pretty sure, for most of the countries.
For most of the countries, yes, and that is one of the benefits of the European Union, and maybe it's one thing that might stick around, whether or not the European Union ceases to exist or becomes one country, because it's definitely aided commerce and getting tourism between these countries. But back to the economics of it, I think that the countries are just too radically economically different.
Personally, if you were the president of Germany, would you fight for the European Union to come together, and would you personally put German money into poorer European nations in order to bring the European Union together?
No, I would not. I think there's just too many countries that are bound to fail in the European Union at this point. I mean, even if we can't completely bail out Greece, who's next? Italy, Portugal, Spain?
You're Romanian, right?
I'm Bulgarian. Well, I'm not full Bulgarian, I'm half Bulgarian. Bulgaria is not part of the European Union, and they've been pushing for it for a while, and they won't. Their economy is just not developed enough. Okay. So they've been on the Bulgarian currency, though they do accept euros there. But if I were the president or the prime minister of Germany, I would push the president. I would most likely use my power and my leverage within the European Union to push for more austerity measures throughout Europe. If countries can prove that they can economically stabilize, then I would maybe consider some bailouts. But I think at this time you can't just go for the bailout because it's bound. Another country is bound to fall.
Now, I don't know if you take an AP Euro, but they kind of describe this like move towards Europe becoming one country, just like America's one country. Europe's one country with fundamental European values. Do you think that the nationalism of Europe for each individual country outweighs that trend of the last century?
Yes, I still think so. Even though they have the same currency and maybe some uniform policies throughout, that's not enough to bring them together like.
And you think there's a fundamental difference between each European?
I think maybe fundamental difference is a little strong, but I would still say that there's enough significant differences between the countries to really bring them together. I mean, if you look at America, America was really founded on a set of fundamentals, whereas each of these countries, they all have their own history, they all have their own traditions that would be really difficult to synthesize
what's
into one.
The similarity between them? They're all have a majority or like near a majority Christian population, and they're all white. They're all well, I guess that's about it, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I guess culturally, if you approach their religion and kind of the things they do, they are slightly similar, but sometimes I don't think that's enough. I don't think that they've been...
And a huge amount of Europe is atheist as well. That's a big trend.
And there's also rising Muslims in Europe. There's a huge Muslim movement in Europe going on right now that's only going to pick up from here. And that's not bad at all. I mean, that's awesome that they're, emigrating and getting to new places. But I don't think uniform culture is enough. I think if you look at America and what made America strong is that
it's law.
Everyone came to America for kind of the same reason, to kind of escape persecution or to make their own. And it's because we were founded on these uniform principles that we could grow as this one state. But I don't think you can take a number of countries with radically different histories, which they still cling to. I mean, my mother is Bulgarian, and she still likes to talk about her beef with Turkey.
Right.
So all these countries have these historical beefs that they really won't let go, and I just don't think it's enough to, even though they have the same currency and the same religion, it's not enough to bring them together as the United States of Europe.
Thank you, Warren.
Thanks, Govi.
Oh, sorry.